like how does biophysics, you mentioned that, and how does that specifically differ from just other types or categories of physics? And you mentioned it has to do with the quantum interactions or those invisible energies in the environment that affect the human body. Is that right?
Right. Yep. It's all how the cellular process works, how the proteins fold, how this happens, what's the thermodynamics, how things interact in your body. So when you get something like how does a lipid layer react to any type of energy? How does like a virus impregnate a cellular wall? And those are the kind of things that I focused on for my years, getting my PhD. But at the same time, you have to understand a lot of what's the energy doing. Is there some is there how does electromagnetic energy enter your body? What is it doing? Is there any other quantum effects that might be happening that are actually some entanglement going back and forth? So a lot of
Mm,
my training in school was about how energy reacts with nature and your body, and then what is your body doing with that energy, and how does it react, and what is this the repercussions of that type of thing.
I see. So you got into that field and that was like specifically needed. So when you started doing this with Dr. Putoff, did that a lot of those reports were they coming in from just around Skinwalker Ranch and that transition going on between Bigelow and Fugal, or were the reports coming in from all over the place?
All over
And
the place. There was some stuff from England. There was an Air Force base in England that had a lot of injuries when they saw a UFO. There was reports of different ranches around the area that Bigelow that was interested in, and it was just all over the place, and it was good because you didn't want to really pigeonhole yourself into one specific area and things like that. But there was a couple that were coming from the ranch in that area. There was a lot coming from other places down in DC. There was a bunch of places that were, and then of course you start thinking, down in DC, conspiracy theory starts clicking in and say, is that going to be another government or
mm,
so? But the idea is that we're trying to understand why this is happening to people. What's the phenomena that actually creates this with people? Why are people getting sick? Why are people having these experiences and then having some residuals on their bodies, lesions and things like that?
mm. And was there any point when you started working with Dr. Putoff or before, have you had to take on any kind of like government clearances in order to get access to these studies or information, or has it mostly been private and contracted and just under like the HIPAA laws?
Well, so I had a secret clearance. I had a top secret clearance, and that helped because what happens is that guys like Hal, Dr. Putov, is always requested by the government agencies to come brief them. So the Senate Armed Service Committee, the DI, or the Defense, was it the Defense Intelligence Association? I think it is DIA. They would invite Hal to come and talk, and a lot of times he would bring myself, he'd bring Kit, he would bring whoever is the kind of the expertise in the field that the people were asking about. So it was very interesting to go with them and actually brief these people and look at their faces when you tell them these things that you've investigated and you found, because it's like they're surprised. I mean, they're genuinely surprised. So you say, well, does the government really are they the end all of knowing everything? And the answer is probably not. I think that the community at large, the people, I heard the term citizen scientist the other day.
Mm,
Um, People that go out there like Hal and people that are funded separately and things like that, doing the investigations. But the government's smart enough to say, look, these people are out there doing this stuff. Let's invite them in. Let's let them brief. So we've briefed, Senate Armed Service Committee and that kind of stuff a lot. So I needed the clearance to do that, obviously.
yeah, definitely. And I mean, you're working right alongside with Hal Puthoff. He's the founder of the remote viewing program with
Yes,
Russell
that is
Tard,
all
which
right.
became
Yes,
the entire psionic program that we're hearing about
yes,
now and all these whistleblower hearings. That combined with certain aspects of the Gateway program from the Monroe Institute and
yep,
became like a whole psychic spy program under Project Stargate and Grill Flame. And then now this alleged UFO crash recovery program that's been going on with these Delta Force and Green Beret operators. It's super fascinating. And then Kit Green, he's the I'm not sure if he still is, but he was like the lead physician for for the CIA. And
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
you're there in those meetings in the government offices, talking to these officials, and you're saying that you're shocked to find out that they don't know, and they're leaning on you guys to tell them what's
Right.
going on.
Yeah. So one of the interesting meetings that we had was in 2018 when the Tic Tacs started to make an appearance again. So I guess the Nimitz had just seen them. I
Mm,
forgot the exact histology and exactly how it happened, but so right at that time there was a big interest in the Tic Tacs, and at the same time, Havana syndrome was kicking up, right? Because it just had like 2016, it just started happening. So they went to Walter Reed and they had some evidence, and Kit was working on it with me, looking at some of the cases. So they said, Hal, why don't you come in, and we want to talk about it. We want to run some ideas past you. We've got some theories and stuff like that. So and it was quite an interesting meeting. It was
mm.
fun.